Before we learn how to build websites, we need to understand the technology that makes them possible. Because once you understand what's happening behind the scene, web development becomes much easier to learn. In this lesson, we are going to simplify technology, the internet, and websites in a way that even a complete beginner is going to understand. Welcome back. And if this is your first time here, my name is Vincent, and this is the complete full stack web developer course. Let's jump right into it. Let's start with a simple question. What is technology? See, technology is anything humans create to solve problems or make life easier. That's just what technology is. Technology, anything human creates to solve problems or to make life easier. For example, your smartphone is technology, your laptop is technology, even something as simple as a calculator is also a technology. But when it comes to web development, there are two types of technology you must understand. These are the two types of technology that when it comes to web development, you must understand these two types of technology. And what are these technologies? We have the hardware and software. Hardware, which refers to the physical device you can touch, for example, your laptop, keyboard, your mouse, any physical device you can touch is considered as an hardware. That is an hardware. If you can drop it on the floor, it's an hardware. Like it's physical, it's an hardware. That's just what hardware is. Software is the set of instruction that tells hardware what to do. So you can see now that your web browser is a software, mobile application is a software, games, your operating system is also a software because all this just tells the computer what to do. It tells the hardware what to do. So that's the software. Just think of hardware like your body and software like your brain. So the brain controls the body and tells the body what to do. You can see that software is very, very important to tell the hardware what to do. Now, we're also going to see the type of software we have. The first one here, we have the web application. This web application, they are applications that run inside a browser. You can see, for example, just a simple website, your online stories, a social platforms, learning platform. All these are just applications that run in your browser. So all these are called web application. User don't need to install anything. You can see the web in the web browser now. In the web application, users don't need to install anything. Everything happens in the web. So they just access it through the URL, through the domain, and they have access to do everything in it. The second one is your mobile application. Mobile application, they are apps you download from an app store. And these are apps you download from an app store. And just like your messaging apps, your banking apps, all these are mobile application. Which the third one is your desktop application. These are programs that are installed directly on a computer. For example, your code editors, your design software, your video editing tools. All these are desktop application. They are application or they are programs that are installed directly in your computer. In this course, our primary focus will be web application because once you understand the web, you can easily expand into mobile and other areas. So that's why we are starting with web application. Once you understand web, going to other areas, expanding to other areas will be very, very easy for you to do. Then the next section we have here is what is programming? I know many people have been hearing about programming. Sometimes you're going to encounter a case where you tell somebody you're a programmer and the person don't even know what you mean. Yes, there are cases like that. So let's look at this. What is programming? You can decide to answer that before coming back to hear my answer. But all the same, uh, programming is the process of giving instructions to a computer so it knows exactly what to do. Just like I explained, and when I explained hardware and software, hardware is just the physical part of the computer, while software is what is the instructions that tells the computer what to do. So you can see now that programming is just the process of just giving the computer instruction, the process of just giving the computer instructions on what to do. The computer is very powerful. That's something you should know, that a computer is very powerful, but also extremely dumb. It only does what tell it to do. That's what programming is, telling the computer what to do. If you tell it to calculate numbers, it will. If you tell it to display a website, it will. If you tell it nothing, it does nothing. So that's just how a computer system works. Programming is just communicating, or is just simply learning how to communicate with computers. That's just what programming is. Now, who is a developer? You see, a developer is someone who uses programming to build software. Developer is just someone who uses programming to build software. We have mentioned this type of software, which I say web application, mobile application, desktop application. Now there are different programmers we are going to list, which I say, okay, developers. There are different developers. We have the web developers, we have the mobile developers, we have the game developers, we have the AI engineers. So all these are different type of developers. And in this course, as we all know, we are focusing more on web development, because when you become a web developer, you can expand it to other areas very easily. So now let's talk about the invisible system that powers the web, which is the internet. The internet is a global network of computers connected together. These computers communicate and share information every second. If you look at the history of the internet first started as a military project where they were finding means of sending out information within themselves. So that's how the internet started before it started going around the world and spreading all over the world. So you can see the internet is just a global network of computers connect to each other. You already understand what a website is, but in this section, I just want to still explain it. A website is simply a collection of web pages accessible through the internet. You can see. When we get into HTML and CSS, we're going to understand better. We are going to use HTML to create different web pages. We're going to have these anchor tags that can connect these pages together. When you click on this page, it's going to take you to another page. So that's just what a website is. It's just different pages that are accessible through the internet. They are connected together and they are being put in the internet, they are being hosted somewhere that you can just go to the internet and access it. So that's just what a website is. What really happens when you open a website? When you type a website address into your browser sends a request through the internet. That request reaches a server. A server is just a powerful computer that stores websites. So when we get into backend, they are going to build a server where you're going to understand it. We're going to also host our own server, build our own server, create different APIs. We will understand how requests will be coming into this server and displaying it in the user interface. The server responds by sending the website files back to the browser. You can see where from the user interface you send the request to the server. The server responds, then they will send back these website files back to the browser. Then the browser will just display the website. And this entire process happens in seconds. Now, because I'm explaining like this, you feel that so it's going to take time. No, this entire process can happen in seconds. So it happens very fast. You type in a URL, you send to the server just fetching that website and you display it back in your browser. See, your browser is called the client. The machine that sends the data is the server. Client send the request, server responds with this request. That's just how it works. The client, when you are going to, you can also say front end, back end. You can also say client and server. When you send the client sending the request, the server will look at this request and send and then respond back to the client and display it in your browser. So just like I said, front end and back end. Now, as a web developer, you are going to be hearing this a lot: front end and back end. Now, you just need to know what it means and you don't have to confuse yourself. Every website have a front end and a back end, right? Except of just some static page that don't have much functionality. But as a web developer, you're learning to be there to be, you must know that every website should contain front end and back end. Now, these two major parts, which is the front end and back end, firstly, the front end is everything that the users are seeing in their browser. That's just the front end. Everything the users are seeing in their browser, everything the users interact with. That is the front end. The buttons, images, text, layout, all these are the front end. They are on the front end that the users see. While on the other hand, the back end is everything happening behind the scene, like databases, authentication, business logic. All these are in the all these are in the back end. All these happen behind the scene. Content is just like the restaurant dining area where you just go and sit down and your food will be served. While the back end is just like the kitchen where everything is being prepared. So just look at it in that sense, and I believe you understand what this front end and back end is. Now, if you look at the course title, I mentioned that this is a full stack web developer course, and I want you to understand what I mean by full stack development course. A full stack developer uh, understand both front end and back end, and just like I've explained, which means you are going to be working both on the front end, you are going to be working both in the front end and in the back end. So you are combining these skills so that you'll be able to build scalable application at the same time, which means they can build complete application from scratch. You can work both on the front end and on the back end. So today we have learned what technology is. I've understand hardware and software, and also type of software. We understand programming. We have know who is a developer. We have understand the internet. We have understand websites. Also talk about client and server. So if this lesson help you understand technology better, make sure you like this video. And remember, don't just watch, stay consistent. It's not just by watching one video and skip. No, you have to stay consistent and wait for the next course that move you forward and move you more further into becoming a developer. In the next video, we are going to set up your developer environment. I know some of you might be so eager to get into practical, to get into coding. So in the next video, we are going to set up our environment, all the tools we are going to be needing, all the tools we are going to be using to start developing, to start writing code. So that's what we are going to be doing in the next session. We will install the exact tools professional use and prepare your computer for coding. So I will see you in the next lesson.